Welcome back viewers. In today's video, we are going to do the installation of Debian Bookworm KDE Desktop using the encrypted LVM. So let us start. This is the DVD ISO of Debian 12 Bookworm. We will open it and create a virtual machine. So we can either use the Debian testing or we can use the earlier Debian 11 template. It is good enough. And create around 25 GB of storage for the VDD. Go ahead, go with the graphical install option. I will go with the India local. So this English India is not available. We will stick with American English. There was a way to do the settings for the English India with rupee, but I forgot. Maybe in some other video I will show you. There is a way to do that during the installation itself, but I forgot the way how to do it. If I will remember, I will do another video how to set the India English with rupee local. Host name Debian. The domain name we will keep empty, so there will be no domain name configured. If you want, you can have a root password. Let us do what I think we had done the root password last time. So we will keep this blank, so the root will be disabled, and the sudo's list will contain the user that we will create. So now the name of the user and this user will be added to the sudo's list. Root will be disabled. That is done now. User is configured. Now the partition manager will open up. Here, to use the encrypted LVM, you have to use guided use entire disk and setup encrypted LVM, that is the logical volume manager. And now here we will use the separate home partition. So I'm showing you what happens when we do the different choose the different options and do the partitioning and the installation. So last time we had done a separate home, var and temp partitions. This time we will only use a separate home partition. And during the review of the desktop, we will open the gparted and see how the partitions were created using a particular scheme. So all scheme will generate different kind of partitions. Partition scheme will be different in each of the options that we choose right now. Now we will continue. So the partition tables of the following were changed. So just it is giving some warnings. After logical volume manager is configured, no additional changes to the partitioning scheme of disk containing physical volumes are allowed during installation. Please decide if you are satisfied with the current partitioning scheme before continuing. So these changes cannot be undone. So we have to say yes and continue. Now nothing is to be done. It's almost an automated process. Okay, now the time has come for the configuration of the password for encryption. So the encrypted volumes can only be accessed when you give the passphrase or the password. So every time you boot your system, it will first ask you for the passphrase or the password. So we can now configure it. I have a good password for that. Just a moment. I will remember this password. And you have to remember this. You can jot it down somewhere and keep that notebook or anything where you jotted this password in a safe place, like in say your home locker, so it is not lost or get into hands of any unwanted person. And you have entered a password that consists of less than 8 characters, which is considered too weak. You should use a stronger password. Yes, definitely, but we are just doing a review here, and we are just trying to educate people how to set up an encrypted volume. So we need not have a very strong password, but in real life you should have a very good password. Best is to have a hexadecimal password. Yes, and then now the complete disk has been totally encrypted, and now it will start the actual partitioning. So the partitioning will now start. So here also it is asking, okay, so it is here also asking whether to use the complete disk. So a partial disk is possible here, but we will use the complete disk because anyway we are given very small virtual hard disk. Just we are going to use a 26 GB of hard disk, not more. If you had a in actual life you will have a 100 GB or 200 GB, 256 GB hard disk or SSD. Then definitely you can first go for the 100 or 150 GB LVM, and then as the requirement grows up you can expand that. You can increase the size of the LVM and use up the free space that was available. So we will use the complete disk right now. And now the actual partitioning is done. You can see it here. This is the scheme of partitions that will be implemented. You can see it here. The Linux device mapper linear 16.2 GB F extended 4 file system will be used, and the partition will be /home. Then we have got another 9.1 GB linear Linux device mapper linear 9.1 GB F extended 4. So this is the root partition. So root partition is going to be very small, that is 9.1 GB. Then you have got another partition 1 GB, that is the swap or Linux swap partition. Further you have got 26.3 GB Linux. Okay, so this is the LVM. So this is the actual volume, and inside the volume these are the 3 partitions that will be there, that is home partition, root and swap. So this is the total size. Out of this, these are the partitions. So home size, home partition will be the biggest, followed by the root partition, that is the system partition, and 1 GB is for the Linux swap partition. And you have got the /boot partition with just 510 MB. So this is how it is. Whole scheme is upside down, downside up. So you have to start reading this from here, then it will make sense. And further there are some options: configure software RAID, configure logical volume manager. If you want to do further configuration, configure the encrypted volumes, configure the ISCI volumes. Those things we will not do. We will just finish the partition and then write the changes to this and do the actual installation of the KDE desktop. So if you want, you can take a screenshot of this, and the screenshot will be saved in the var log partman choose partition. So this is very important. Later on, if you have any issue or if you want to do any changes to the partitions, you can use this screenshot. So this screenshot will remain saved. And now we will finish the partitioning and start with the actual installation. So if you continue, changes listed below will be written to this, otherwise you will be able to make changes manually. So home has extended 4, so root or partition also gets the extended 4 file system, and the Linux swap will have a swap file system, and you have to commit to changes to the disk. Yes, that's it. And now the partition is complete and the base system is getting installed. So from here onwards, the process is same in all partitioning scheme, all the, you can say, file systems, everything. For this is the common. So it will just install the base files and the KDE desktop over the partitions that you have created. The partitions may be anything, for example, extended for file to file, XFS. The partition scheme can be different. It can be MS-DOS partition. It can be a say GPT style partition or the MBR style partition. But this installation of base system and KDE desktop is same. And do remember that encryption of the hard disk will lower the performance, slightly lower the performance. So if you have got an unencrypted system, then the performance will be more better. But of course, the encrypted system will give you better security. So depending on the different file systems used, the encryption of the hard disk will increase the load on the system and it will decrease the performance maybe by 4-5%. Okay, so now the installation is finding the label, that is Debian GNU Linux 12 bookworm official DVD binary one with the firmware block 2023-0610. So your option of scanning additional media for use by package manager APT. Normally this should be in the same set as you are booted from. If you do not have additional media, this step can be skipped. So if you want to scan more media, please insert another one. So it can be either in DVD CD form, or you can have it in the USB form, whatever your system supports. But right now we don't have any additional firmware or any additional software to be installed, so we will say no and then we will skip this step. So a new network mirror can be used to supplement the software that is included on the installation media. This can also make the newer versions of software available. So what happens is the DVD image might be little old, or in our case it is almost now 10 days old, I think. How much it is? No, 7 days old. So in this 7 days there could have been some bug fixes that are released for the Debian bookworm. Some updates also might be there. So if you use the network image, it will install the latest packages. So all the bug fixes and the system updates that are released during the 7 days from the date of the creation of the DVD ISO on the website. So it will ensure the latest packages, and after the installation is complete, you do the reboot. There won't be any more updates or bug fixes to be installed. Everything will install right during the installation stage itself. If you don't use the network mirror, it's okay. The system is anyway going to be get installed. But after the reboot, you will have some bug fixes and system updates that will be available for installation. Then you will have to install it. So either you install everything during the installation stage, or some parts like the bug fixes and the system updates will come up after the first reboot. So we will use a network mirror. So now we will find the network mirror. So we will keep the India network mirror, and we will use the Debian deb.debian.org. We can also use this too also, it's okay, but we will use this. There is no need to have any HTTP proxy information in my case. That's it. Now you have to just sit back, and the installation will be now completely automated right till the end. So now the repos are getting downloaded, and the software will start to be detected. What firmware is required, everything, all those things will be checked, and then the actual software will be downloaded, and the installation of the different packages will start. So do you want to take part in this dpkg reconfigure popularity contest? Because you see, this contest will give the distribution developers with statistics about the most used packages in the system. This information will influence decisions such as which packages should go with the first distribution CD. So we should help them and say yes. I think there won't be any privacy issue as such. Now the task tail will run, and let us untick the GNOME. So Debian desktop environment, that is the base files for the desktop environment, and GNOME and the standard system utilities are the default choice for the task cell. So you have to untick the GNOME, and you have to tick the KDE Plasma, and now you have to hit the continue button, and the installation will start. 1714 packages will be downloaded totally. Now the installation of grub bootloader has started. It will detect all the other operating systems if there are any. So in our case, we don't have any operating system other than the Debian on our virtual machine. Now it is asking install the grub bootloader on your primary drive. Yes, we can do it because we don't have any other operating system on our virtual machine, and it won't affect the virtual machine. But sometimes in the real case, whenever you have multiple operating systems, you have to be careful with this step, because what happens is if you install the grub bootloader on a partition which file system cannot be read by the other operating system, then there will be issue, and what will happen is you will be not able to boot into the other operating system. So you will be able to boot into Linux, but for example the Windows might not be able to access the partition on which the bootloader is written, then there will be issue. So we will continue with this. We will enter the device manually, and it's just a matter of seconds before the grub bootloader will be installed and the boot image files will be created for the system. And the users and passwords will be now installed, or we can say set the users and password. The installation of the microcode has started. So this is the AMD microcode that is getting installed. 64-bit microcode. You can see here now the boot image is getting updated. Init RAM FS, that is the initial RAM FS or the RAM file system, because when the system is first time booted, it will create a file system in the RAM, and then the boot image will be loaded into the RAM. So now the installation is complete. We have to just hit the continue button to reboot automatically. So I will stop the video here. See you in the next video. In the next two videos, we will have the GNOME desktop review and the KDE desktop review. So see you then. Bye.